So I am sick as a dog, and I am just like tired. My nose is stopped up, my ears are plugged, I'm coughing, I'm sneezing, and I have a headache. That's where I'm at right now. Not the worst cold I've ever had in my life, but it still sucks nonetheless. So right now, I just dropped the kids off at school. I'm back on my side of town. I'm getting ready to go get some coffee for my mom, and I guess since I'm getting her some coffee, I'll get me some coffee. So I wanted to talk to you guys real quick. I know I look a mess, all right, but besides being sick, I cut my hair yesterday, all right. I've been natural for 6 years, since I was pregnant with the twins, before I was pregnant with the twins. And although I love being natural, I feel like my hair is so thick, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm blessed to have thick, long, luscious hair, but I feel like it should be longer by now. I've been natural for 6 years. I just felt like it should have been more natural by now. Not more natural. I feel like it should have been more long by now. I just felt like my growth should have been better. I feel like my hair was dry, brittle, matted in some areas. It just wasn't what I wanted. So I cut it off, a majority of it. I didn't like shave it bald or anything, but I did cut a majority of my hair off, and I just want to start over. And I'm not sure if I want to be natural anymore. I love being natural, but it's just like, I don't know. I need to change it. My hair texture is so thick. It's just really it was a project to where I didn't even want to do my hair. I didn't want to comb it. I didn't want to wash it. I didn't want to do none of that. It was just a struggle, and I didn't like my curl pattern. I just didn't like it. So I'm thinking I just may have to change my hairstyle. I just withdrew the twins from the charter school that I have the kids in. I left the other kids in that school because I'm satisfied with the schooling that they are getting. And I feel like all kids are different, and they need their own, some things that work for some kids don't work for others in different ages and things like that. And this situation is no different. A little backstory on the twins, because I know I have a lot of new subscribers and you guys may not be aware, but the twins, for the first 1 to 2 years of their life, they had severe ear infections, which led, the first year of their life, I should say, they had the severe ear infections, which led to us getting ear tubes put in their ears by their first birthday. Ear tubes typically have a life of 1 to 2 years, and then they're supposed to fall out on their own. And that didn't happen for my girls, so they were in their ears for an additional 2 years after the 2 years. And they thought, okay, at first they thought we'll just wait for them to fall out and things like that. During the course of this time, they continued to get ear infections over and over and over. Probably not as frequently as before the tubes, but still more frequently than I was comfortable with, seeing as how that was supposed to help that not be a problem anymore. These aren't my first kids who've had ear tubes. Kingston had to have ear tubes when he was 1, but by the time he was like 2.5, they were gone. And it affected him too. He was delayed in talking, because when you are a child or a baby and you're in that developmental stage of how to start speaking words and things like that, but you can't hear properly because you constantly have ear infections or you have things like that, it sounds like you're underwater. And just like if you can't really hear when you're underwater, like if I was underwater right now and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And you could probably understand what I'm saying to a certain extent, but the way it sounds, the proper pronunciation of words and things like that are gonna be, what's the word I'm looking for? You're not gonna be able to understand them. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be able to understand me as you would if I was speaking to you clearly right now. You could hear me clearly. So that's basically what they were going through, my poor babies. Okay. Fast forward a little bit. Kamora's tubes fell out, but one of her tubes kind of came out a little bit halfway. We took her to the doctor because she had an ear infection, and they pulled it out. That was where they could see it. They got it out. After that, both her tubes were gone. And since then she's maybe had 1 or 2 ear infections, but nothing really, no real serious issues. But because of the struggle that she had, you know, the first couple years of her life, she didn't really talk much. You know, she did a lot of you know, pointing, and not a lot of verbalizing of no and yes and bottle and cup and things like that because of those issues. So fast forward to last year. Those of you who have been with me probably already know this, but I have a lot of new subscribers. Those of you who have not been with me, right before I had Blaze, Kinsley had it, and her tube was still in her ear. She had lost one naturally, and the one that has been in there since she was 1 year old, guys. 1 year old. She's had these tubes since she was 1. So for 4 years, she had a tube in her ear. And then, I mean, they're not supposed to go past 2 years. And it was one day she said, my ear hurts. And I said, let me look in there. Let me see. Because she was digging in it. And I said, well, let me, you know, at first I was thinking maybe she's saying her ear hurts because she doesn't want to go to bed. Because it usually only be at night, like, you know. And you know, at night, that's how those excuses start, because they don't want to go to sleep. So I was thinking maybe this is just because she's, you know, trying to avoid going to bed. And so I was like, well, let me see, you know, what's going on. After the second night, I was like, let me see what's in your ear, okay? And so I looked in her ear, and I see the tube, and I was like, dang, I wish I could just get it out. But I was like, I'm not going to stick nothing in her ear or anything, because it was right there. I could see it. I took her to the doctor the next day. The doctor was like, it's impacted in her ear. We can't remove that safely without damaging her eardrum. And so I'm glad I didn't mess with it. So they said we have to surgically remove it. So she went in for outpatient surgery. It was very quick. They removed it. She had a little perforation of her eardrum. They patched it, and they said she would heal fine. You know, come back for a follow-up to make sure it was healed over and things like that. After that, we haven't had any more ear infection issues with her. Not a lot of ear issues. Every once in a while, it'll get itchy or things like that. So I'm really on top of her ears. But I say all of that to explain to you guys that because of those challenges that they have had, they didn't talk for a while, which is why we were also doing speech therapy. Those of you who remember, back in Colorado before we moved to Nevada, we did speech therapy. We did speech therapy for both of the girls starting 2 years ago. And then we went down to just Kinsley because Kimura kind of graduated from speech therapy because they can talk, they can verbalize and things like that. They pronounce their words correctly for the most part. Some of it's just age based. They got to grow into their language, you know. I'm sorry, my nose just got really, really stuffy. I noticed Kinsley was still having a hard time. So I got her a speech therapist. She came to the house twice a week and would work with Kinsley. And at first it was rough. Kinsley wouldn't talk to her. They don't talk to people they don't know. That's how they've always been. But once you get to know them, once you're around more and build their trust, they will speak. And of course they always talk to me, people who like their family, you know. So they didn't go to preschool last year. I kept them home with me. And because it's not required in the state of Colorado, and they didn't have a preschool program that fit them and our needs, so I kept them home with me. So fast forward to this year, they're old enough for kindergarten. I get them enrolled at the school, the charter school with the other kids. And by October, we had a parent-teacher conference, and they said they're kind of struggling. They're not talking. They won't speak to the teachers. First of all, they're separated, which is something I really didn't want for them to be, because they really are with each other all the time by choice. They just love to be around each other. They're twins, you know. I don't know how other people's twins are, but my girls, they love each other. Even though they fight like cats and dogs, they love each other. And I knew them being separated was gonna be hard. But they said, oh, well, you know, it's okay. We prefer them to be separate anyway, blah, blah, blah. So they don't lean on each other too much and all this other stuff. Let's just try it. We don't have space, you know, for both of them in one room anyway. So blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay. So that was one thing. But I said, all right, trust the school. Let's, you know, whatever. When it was time for parent-teacher conferences, I spoke to both of their teachers, and they said they're kind of struggling because they won't talk. You know, we can't get them to ask questions. We can't see what they know, what they don't know, or what they're confused on, because they just won't talk to us. Both of them said the same thing. And I said, well, you know what? That's weird. That's odd because they do talk at home nonstop. And they were surprised. They were like, oh my God, do they? And I said, yeah. I said, they come home and tell me how their day was, what they've done. So it's not like they're not receiving. It's just that, you know, you're going to have to take a little bit more time to make sure that they open up and you know, follow along with what you guys are trying to teach, because it's going to probably take them a little bit of time. My girls are really, really shy. And you guys probably wouldn't even know that because they don't act like that on camera. They don't act like that at home. But that's how they are in real life settings. And they just were like, oh my gosh, we have no idea. And I was like, yeah, they're fine at home. So it's just the environment. It's new to them. They haven't been in a school environment before, you know, and then this is a fast-paced school environment. So I said, well, you know what? They originally started out at a different school. We got accepted to this school like a month into the school year. So they didn't start till like September. So October, they had only been there for like the better half of 2 months. You know what I mean? Weeks. So I said, you know what? The year is young. They're new to this. Let's give them some time to catch on and to see what, you know, see what they do. Let's give them some time to start opening up and flourishing and playing with friends and, you know, opening up to the teachers and talking and, you know, things like that. Let's see if that happens, because I just thought with time it'll get better. Doing homework, I realized that they have gotten better, but they are still struggling writing some of their letters and stuff like that. I have been teaching them at home, but I think this since they've been in school, I've just been like, school will do it, school will handle it, and that's a mistake. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I hear people say all the time, don't let schooling stop at school. Don't leave your child's education up to the educator solely. I think I've definitely learned my lesson on that saying firsthand, because I kind of said, you know, they're in school. That's what they are gonna. That's what they're doing. They're gonna make them a plan, and they're gonna follow that plan, and they're gonna help them. I've been talking for 15 minutes already, y'all. I'm sorry, but I just want to get this out so you guys understand what's going on. So, I just thought that it was gonna be different, and I thought that it was gonna be a different plan. You know, I felt like they were going to I felt like one of two things was going to happen. Either the school was going to create a plan to help them get on track, or two, because we just came from a school that was like that would see a see a student struggling and would have intervention methods to help that child, you know. Or two, the girls would start opening up more at school and being able to talk more and say, I don't understand, or I do get it, or whatever, so that they can learn. It's hard to teach someone who won't talk to you and tell you yes they get it or no they don't get it. So I understand how that's hard to teach a child who won't speak. But then again, I'm not a teacher, so I don't know, you know, if I know there's got to be a way through that. You know what I mean? But I just feel like this school, these teachers, they're not educated or equipped enough to handle what my girls need. And my girls need someone who they can trust, who they can talk to openly, who they're not going to be afraid of saying the wrong answer to or something. I don't know. Someone who is going to take the time to work with them on addition problems until they get it, or writing a sentence until they get it. And yeah, because right now this school is an accelerated pace program school. So that means that halfway through the year, they completely switch and they start working on the next year's coursework. So we're halfway through school. They're already working on first grade work, and my girls have not even gotten down to kindergarten work yet. So that is going to cause them to really be overwhelmed. And I feel that when I sit with them and I look at their work. It just to me, it's unacceptable, but I'm not going to place the sole blame on all the teachers in the school. That's the way their program is set up. And I think it works good for Cadence and Kaya and Kingston. I think it's good for them. They have all been accelerated and they're all doing great. But the twins, they just need more individualized attention. So for right now, I have decided to go ahead and withdraw them from that school. And because of these issues, they are talking about they want to hold the girls back. And I don't see that as solving the issue. another year doing the same thing to them, pushing them along the same coursework, and not giving them that individualized attention is not going to help them do better. You see what I'm saying? So I know this is a topic where some people are pro retention, some people are against retention. I am more against retention. For my girls, being 5 years old, being in kindergarten, they are smart. They are very, very smart and intelligent, sweet girls. You guys hear them talk. They talk to you guys more than they talk to their own teachers. That's an issue. That says to me that you have 35 students and you just don't have the time to give my child the extra attention that she needs daily. And I don't blame the teachers for that. It's not their fault. But at the same time, I have to be an advocate for my girls. I'm not going to let my girls continue on a sinking ship. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds kind of dreadful and like whatever, but I decided I can pull them out. There are plenty of online learning materials in schools. There's K through 12, which I'm looking into, but by the time you see this video, I'll either have more information or have already figured out something else. I don't know. There's online schooling that I can enroll them in to where we can have actually lesson plans and things like that to go along. And I just feel like we need to start over. And I feel like we have time. I have time to get them where they need to be so that by the time the end of the summer comes around and fall school starts, I just feel like that I can intervene and do something. I can sit at home. I'm home every day. And although I'm busy with YouTube and things like that, I'm never too busy to help my own kids be the best that they can be. They are struggling and I'm going to help them. I just can't continue on this path that they're on. You know what I mean? I can't let them continue on this path. Otherwise, they're going to get to first grade and still be lost, still not be able to verbalize, still be, having the same issues. I'm going to get them speech therapy, set them back up for something that'll help them. Now, I don't know if they necessarily need speech therapy. Maybe they just need, I don't know. They just need encouragement to do more. You know what I mean? To speak to their educators. And I don't know if that's just going to take time. I feel like it's just going to be something that they grow into. Everybody grows at a different pace. And I feel like they're just here's what I feel like, y'all. And I'm saying this, try not to get emotional because these are my babies. I feel like they're just a number. They're just a number in the school system out here. And I don't want them to be that way. I know this is I'm going to watch this video back and be like, you sound horrible. I know I sound so horrible. I'm going to get some tea or something. But I just feel like they're just a number. And I like I said, I don't think it's solely the teachers' faults because they are just doing their job the best they can. They have 30 other kids who probably most of which can roll with it. You know what I mean? And then you get one student who's falling behind, but you still got to stay up to pace for the school standards, plus the other kids who are still rolling with it. But I think I was expecting that if they continued to see them struggling, that they would have somebody come in, pull them aside, like they did when I was in school, like they did when my girls, my older kids were in school in Colorado. They would pull them aside for like 30-40 minutes a day, work on the things that they're struggling with, and then send them back to school, send them back to class, so that they get that individualized attention. If you just let a kid go and won't give them the things that they need, the tools, they are never going to learn. And that's going to make them not be confident enough. I think part of it is confidence. My girls, I know they know some of this stuff, but I feel like, it's overwhelming and it's scary, to be asked a question in front of the class and you just don't know. But so they shut down and they won't speak or something like that. You know what I mean? That's how I visualize that happening. And I'm sad for that because I don't want my girls to feel that way. They should not have to feel that way. They have people who are here who will support them. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. And I feel like I gotta be in their corner. I feel like I'm always gonna be in their corner. And so it's before I let somebody say, well, they just don't get it, so they need to start over and do a whole nother year of the same thing with no intervention, with no help, with not addressing the real root of the issue. They'll be in kindergarten for fucking ever. You know what I mean? There's no telling when they'll get out of kindergarten if that's the case, if retention is their only option. And so before I let them say, this is why they don't get they don't get it. We just need to do it again. I'm going to take them out of school and I'm going to teach them myself, because my babies are going to talk to me. And my girls, you know, I was thinking earlier, y'all, my girls love music. They like their mama. They love music. They love to dance and sing. If you make those ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and math problems and stuff fun, and do it based off of things that they like, they gonna have that down in no time. By the time fall goes around, I guarantee you they'll be at or above where they need to be. You just give me some time, because I'm not going to let these babies fail. Little black kids in America always getting overlooked. They're always trying to hold us back in one way or another, whether it's kindergarten, whether it's at your job, whether it's wherever. I'm not going to do that to my kids. I'm sorry, I'm not. Now, like I said, if it's depending on the circumstances and you really just think they need another year, or if they're being bad or whatever, fine, I get it. I don't judge any parent for making the decisions that they feel are necessary for their own children. But I'm saying, me personally, for my babies, they're in kindergarten, they're 5 years old. This is the start of their life, of their school education. And I don't want to start it off like this, like where I'm just like, oh, well, I guess you have to spend another year in kindergarten because I guess you just don't get it. Maybe you'll talk next year. Like, what? I know this video was super long, but every once in a while you gotta have a bonnet, sick with a stuffy nose, car rant. But so that's what's gonna happen. So if you guys see the girls in my vlog during the day while the other kids are at school, that's why. But it's not because I don't care. It's not because I don't want to take them. It's just because we need to do something else. And then once I see where they're at the end of the summertime, I will go ahead and transition them back into school. And it may not be the same school, because that school's program may not be the right one for them. But right now I need to focus on getting them where they need to be. And then I can focus on, figuring out what kind of program is going to fit them and their needs. You know what I'm saying? If I need to homeschool them for another year, I will. You know what I mean? I'll do whatever the fuck it takes. I don't care. But they will be successful in whatever we do, you know? So I just wanted to say that, guys. I just wanted to update you guys and get it off my chest, because I feel like maybe this will help somebody else. I know I'm not the only mom that's going through struggles being a parent. This is mom life. We're not always making easy decisions, and sometimes, you know, it takes a lot to get to where you're at. I don't even know if that makes sense. I'm fucking sick talking at this point. But basically, guys, I love you guys. Thank you so much for rocking with me. If you made it to the end of this video, you are an MVP for real. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Make sure to hit a thumbs up just for me doing this vlog sick as hell. And yeah, I'll see you guys for a regular vlog next time. Love y'all.